Okay, welcome everyone. We are doing... Sorry. This is Oz Speedruns, raising money for Beyond Blue, doing speedrun charity events, and right now we are doing the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion, any percent, no game over abuse, run by Duk700, AeonFrodo, Duk700 and AeonFrodo in a race against one another, with Ali Cat and Nikosar on co-commentary. Take it away.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi. I'm just getting through my thing, sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, so I guess we'll start by saying time will start when the Octoling is picked, which is a bit different from other Splatoon speedruns that you normally see. You have to do the tutorial, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, for better or worse, progress is tied to the game file.
Yeah.
But just a bit of convenience is that you can just delay. Yeah, just not bother with the new file nonsense for the actual run purposes.
You guys still had to play through it, right?
Yeah, we have to play through all
sorry.
the
we did the
opening.
tutorial like for setup, and then then we just got into all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So the runners, when you're ready to start, I guess.
How sound?
All right. Well, okay,
All
let's
right.
go. 3, 2, 1, start.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck to you too.
Good luck. So Octo expansion is the DLC for Splatoon 2.
Yeah, it came out about a year after the first game release.
Something like that.
2018, Year of the Octoling.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there's a lot of 8s in
Yes.
this.
It came out on my birthday, actually.
Yeah. And if you don't know Splatoon as a series, it is a game where it's basically like a paint shooter.
Yeah.
A lot of the mechanics revolve around the use of paint. It's your ammo. It's your way of recovering health.
You can use stealth.
Yeah, it's your car system basically.
We see a little bit of it on the ground. Yeah, and as you can see, because you're an Octoling, you're able to turn into an octopus. And essentially merge into the ink and appear and move fast.
I'm gonna keep saying squid though.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, I play Inkling.
Yeah, and to start off this DLC campaign, we've sort of just woken up as an Octoling and sort of encountered Captain Cuttlefish, which is a familiar character from the first game. And we've sort of got no weapon. We're going to be temporarily given a weapon to find a little bit of progress here. And this is just sort of the, I guess it's a tutorial into the DLC itself.
Yeah, because Octo expansion, its weapons do work a little differently from how you get them in the single player, and obviously very different from multiplayer. So every time you get a weapon in this, it's because you're actually given one by going into these little stations here. And look, we just had that weapon confiscated. So we're about to get up to the point where the actual sort of main hub of the game happens.
Yeah, and a little bit of exposition.
Yes. So we're trapped underground. We don't really know how we got here. We're in a subway system.
Yeah, and we're about to meet some other key characters in this part of the game.
Yes. Cuttlefish here is about to show his tremendous scope of imagination, because your character doesn't have a name, or at least, no one knows what your character's name is. So Cuttlefish is going to call you Agent 8.
A naming pattern that continues his very militaristic...
Yes.
Or maybe not military, but, he's definitely trying to amass his little... group of friends, basically.
Yes, and so we're going to meet a telephone here, very old-timey, definitely not suspicious at all, definitely doesn't have any, greetings fellow kids vibes.
Yes, and starts talking about the Promised Land.
Yes, apparently the Promised Land's where all the cool kids want to hang out. And we've been given essentially a little backpack and an access card. We're just going to put them on, we're very trusting sorts. What can possibly go wrong?
I mean, we used that weapon that randomly we got handed earlier.
Yeah.
It was very natural in our runner's hands.
And the train that's coming in now, that's essentially sort of the in-game conceit for the level select.
Yeah, so Octo expansion has 80 stages, but we're going to see our runners try and take the most efficient route through those so that they only need to play as many of those stages as a minimal number of stages so that they can get access to 4 fangs.
Yes, so the 4 fangs are what's used to get your way to the Promised Land. So there are 4 special stages scattered throughout that essentially just consist of picking up a fang. Put them together and something special will happen. but you can only get to them by navigating through a bunch of earlier stations. And this is Sea Cucumber, essentially the conductor of the train, and who's there to disapprove whenever you make mistakes.
Oh yes, and we might. Well, we're going to see possibly.
We'll
some,
see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I have faith.
Mm.
So a little bit more exposition here. Essentially just explaining. Sea Cucumber is telling us about the fangs. And now the CQ80 is getting opened up, which is our menu. So,
So yeah, we're getting our first view on Aeon's right side of that menu of what the level select looks like, and our first one's going to be very straightforward.
Yes. You don't have a choice about the first mission you do, but from that point on, you actually can choose where you go. So when you go into a level, sometimes you get a choice of different loadouts. Sometimes you can choose different weapons. Sometimes you only have the one, like here.
And every level has a different objective. So this one says get to the goal, and we're going to find that there's actually enemies here.
Yep. And look, it's a fellow Octoling. You've just got a bit of an unfortunate evil to you.
Someone set this Octoling to...
Yes. But there we go, nice and clean. Fortunately for our runners, the Octolings are not particularly clever. They're not very imaginative. So as long as you make sure to, take care of them, they're not too difficult to handle. This is the first time that, unlike in the Octo Canyon, the main single-player campaign, they can use different weapons. In Octo Canyon, they only ever use the splatter shot. But as we saw there was Umbrella. We've seen some rollers. We're going to have more of that happening.
I mean, the thing is, they do have pretty predictable spawn locations, and we did see Aeon did attempt to toss the bomb.
Yeah, just the cheap shot bomb on the spawn.
But apart from that, pretty clean.
Yeah. Now we see there on Duke's screen that inkjet gets activated by the Octoling. Fortunately, got stopped right away, but that is very scary because the inkjet does a lot of damage.
We're going to see a bit of inkjet later. So yeah, all of the elements that are used in Octo Expansion is sort of a great way to get a little more exposure to the weapons that you might, not be using in multiplayer. Like, you might just have something that you're comfy with. Well, unlike Octo Canyon, where it's like just play with.
Every stage has got a weapon you're forced to use to go through the first time, but they're pretty conventional for the most part.
Octo Expansion is a little more spice.
Yeah, you might find yourself discovering a need to become familiar with the Hydra Splatling all of a sudden.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, the runners are pretty much on pace here. I think it's worth pointing out that Duk and Aeon's PBs are within a minute of one another.
So yeah, certainly we've...
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, so should be a really fun race from this point out. And it will be interesting to see. There's a little bit of path splitting, I think. The runners will be doing eventually all of the same stages, but not necessarily in the same order.
Some of that's for safety, some of that's just for preference, I believe.
On the right side, we can see that Aeon has started with the baller level, and again, utilizing some of the things from multiplayer. The baller is a special weapon, but in this case...
This is especially special, because this one never runs out. And if you blow it up, you just spawn a fresh baller. In multiplayer, you don't get that. The baller does have a bit of a downside in single-player scenarios, because you can't get killed, but enemy shots have tremendous impact on you. They send you flying. So if you're not careful, you can just get ping-ponged into the abyss and fall down to your death.
We've seen some excellent platforming and that mid-air explosion to get the... so at the end of every level, there's just this... I don't know, is it a clicky pen?
I always thought it was like a clicky pen, but maybe it's like a... I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to do some damage to activate it, and then you just touch it, and that's the end of the level.
And Duk's also in. Nice.
Yeah, it's looking very close right now.
So sucks.
You also...
I'm like,
You'll notice at the end of level cutscene, you get given this little mem cake things. They're little sort of like gummy, or I always thought they were like little erasers. But anyway, little collectibles, a unique one for the end of every single stage. And now, it's 8-ball land on Aeon's side. And
so yeah, the goal of these levels is it's basically an escort mission.
Yeah.
You do need to take that 8-ball all the way to the end. If the 8-ball falls off the map, then for some reason,
that's not good enough.
Sea Cucumber does not approve and will
And we'll be told that we have failed.
Yeah.
So we've got our first real point for failure here, which Aeon is fine. This level is significantly kinder than the later 8-ball levels, but there's still, still needs a decent degree of precision to handle it well, especially if you're going fast.
I'm in the way.
Okay, so we're a little bit of a cycle on the seesaw thing.
Yeah.
And we're gonna carefully...
Are you kidding me?
Ooh.
Oh god.
Okay. Oh no, it's gone, and Aeon decides to save a little bit of time.
I don't know what our sync is to the stream, by the
Yeah.
way, but we definitely just saw what you were commenting on earlier.
So Duke has taken a lead for the moment, but with anyone's game when the 8-ball's in the air. Oh, there we go. In fact, oh boy.
Nothing to get straight. It's fine.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
so the interesting thing about the 8-ball is, like, it matters the direction that you hit it from, right?
It doesn't matter where your shot lands.
Yeah, so you do, when it's in that kind of precarious situation, we did see Aeon trying to get at the correct angle, but it doesn't matter where on the ball your shots land for its direction.
Okay.
Oh,
No, so
Okay, we got it.
you do only have 3 lives in every time you go into a mission.
Oh,
so
yes.
if you lose 1 life, you'll just respawn at the most recent checkpoint. But if you lose all 3 lives, then you have to start the mission all over again. So Aeon navigated that well.
Not the
and
whole
that
mission.
is-
You start from the
you can pay to start.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
forgot that you could just pay the point tax.
Yeah, and it is
I'm a
relevant
cheap
to
stick.
this category because the category is no death abuse. If you die enough times, the game will offer, well, we're just going to hack this and let you through.
We'll just give you a sympathy win.
So we're seeing on sorry,
That's not
yeah,
allowed.
yes, that is not allowed in this category. That's why it's called.
Yeah, make some missions extremely boring.
Anyway, on Duke's side, we are seeing the Rainmaker mission, and this is it's sort of like a simulated multiplayer match. So in multiplayer Splatoon, there are a number of modes, especially, I think some of them more similar to traditional shooters than others.
Yeah.
Rainmaker's a little more out there, but we are just going to take this sort of payload of sorts to the enemy base while fending off opponents.
Ooh, and Duke's got an inkjet to reckon with there, so that's gonna be a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
But then we go up the podium and the dump.
It's in.
Yeah. Aeon, meanwhile, is taking a different route and doing missions in a different order. So she's in Bounce Pad Central. Sorry, I should know the station name, but yeah.
Bounce with me.
Oh, thank you.
So we're seeing the blaster weapon in play, which is an interesting one. It's not particularly great for this setting, I don't think. But,
Single player's not very kind to it, but it has a few interesting properties. It's not affected by elevation when you shoot at things.
Yeah, that was really close.
Here we go. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Yep, we see that.
Needless to say, those giant rollers painted in hostile ink, they will just smush you if you run into them. Single player Splatoon, you do have a mercy mechanic where, Splatoon 2 rather, you have a mercy mechanic where if you're reduced to what would have killed you in multiplayer, you'll instead get put in sort of a health critical state, but it makes you very slow, so you don't want that.
Yeah, it's like both, it's good, but at the same time it isn't. It really depends. It's not really good for the speedrun if you get to that critical stage.
Over on the left, we do see Duke is up to, I can't remember which rails this one is. Not Radical, the other one.
No.
But yeah, the ride rails, they're a new mechanic in Splatoon 2, and Octo expansion does some slightly more interesting things with them than you saw in the vanilla single player. Because yeah, unlike regular ink rails, you can do a few more tricks when jumping off them, particularly with splat duos.
They are, however, one way, and that is possibly an issue in some of the future levels where we have to do things like break all the crates and you're on
Yes, it's
ride
possible
rails.
to actually to essentially get a soft failure in a mission, where it's not an immediate you're done. The game will let you continue playing, but it's not possible to win. And it won't punish you until you reach the end. Meanwhile, Aeon's got an inkjet mission. So normally the inkjet's time limited. It's like a special weapon. But in Octo expansion, when you get it, you're allowed to just use it forever. So it actually made them.
nice.
They
Just
actually
like with the baller one. Oh, and
Yeah.
Aeon's gonna go for
Oh
that
yes.
skip and.
So we
base.
know this category is called no death abuse, but this is it's a different kind of of death.
Yeah,
there.
hitting the checkpoint and spawning forward.
Yeah. And then just a nice little cruise down the alley. And yeah, fortunately, the inkjet's got a few interesting interactions. So those little balloons, we'll see them in a few places. If you hit them with an attack, your Octoling will just get teleported straight to them. It's possible. I'm pretty sure this is. It's possible to use some extremely long-range weapons with them.
And unfortunately, over on Duke's side, we did see. So it's a target range map. Where you just have to hit the crates without hitting the balloons.
Oh my god, I'm joking.
So.
Ooh!
Yep.
Yep, Sea Cucumber does not approve.
He.
Aeon, meanwhile, is in a different flavour of painful challenge with another 8-ball mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
my
may
route.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is basically where that sea slug. Because he's not. I want to call him a sea cucumber because that's his name, but he's not.
Yeah, I think he's a
but,
sea
I mean, yeah, but I mean, we're seeing him sort of enact cruelty upon both of our runners at once.
Yeah,
you know,
so it
like-
may not be apparent, but the little ink tank that you have on your back in Octo expansion apparently is also a bomb. And if you mess things up enough, then Sea Cucumber decides that okay, it's time for you to explode.
Yeah, it's really not a
Yeah, we're kind of held hostage by just sea cucumber.
yeah.
All right, so
It's definitely it gives this sort of DLC a pretty menacing overtones. We've got like this, we got to escape this place to Promised Land, and we've got this, creepy
Sucks.
conductor guy. So the bouncy ball area, yes, very annoying.
So those
to
little
navigate.
inflatable pads on the side, if the 8-ball hits them, it will just ping pong around like crazy, and unless you're tremendously lucky, it will take forever for you to bring it back under control and get to the goal. So Aeon taking a very cautious approach there.
Oh, over on Duke's side, we're seeing the slap, like
The furlers.
the furlers, like the aesthetic of this area is like that sort of like 90s. We've got like these slap wristband things of that people used to have back then. You've got the background, you can see like keyboards and game cubes and all sorts of like tech floating around. We've got just that sort of like crafted world. We've got like maybe all this junk that sort of just landed here at some point.
Floating in the void.
Underground. Yeah. And this is quite a nice progression here. We've got just got to manage the furlers to do our platforming and just not get hit. So.
Aeon, meanwhile, is doing what I'm pretty sure is the only limited ink challenge of the route, where when you spawn, you've only got a limited number of shots in your tank, and if you run out, then, well, then we've heard it before.
Cycle.
Yeah, you fail.
So yeah, normally, as we mentioned before, the mechanics of Splatoon, like ink is everything to you, and when you're in the ink, you can recover your ammo. In that case, you only get about like 33 shots or so
Something like
in
that.
the whole level.
And if you use a bomb, then that's just going to be right out.
Yeah, that's why. So there was that nice Mercy.
The
inflatable pufferfish. I can't remember what they're called.
I actually can't remember what they're called.
Yeah, but yeah, nice stuff.
Very nice. So we've got
So-
synchronized endings to different missions there.
Yeah, and over on Duke's side, we do see we're gonna collect a thing. Is it a thing?
It's I think it's
What
a
is
thing.
it? What type of thing is it?
It's the containing thing. I can't remember either. Anyway.
It's totally an amplifier. Right?
Oh yeah, no, totally.
I don't know. We got to.
Yeah, like that's like that's just like one of your
Yeah,
like
you've
you
got
got
the
your
audio
computer
dial.
speakers. You've got a volume dial.
Volume dial.
It's
and
got that
you've
little shape.
you
But
can-
I'm sure you could plug some cables into it if you have any. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We're just looking to set up a sound system. Aeon meanwhile is in
I
wide
mean,
rail land.
like that fits,
Yeah, it's totally
Splatoon's
80s.
aesthetic. Like, yeah,
You're all about
like,
the music.
Yeah.
And very nice, just gets that last target. So Duke meanwhile has got to deal with a bit of exposition before getting back into gameplay. There we go, the Fang's been delivered, and you have to actually just get back into the train. You can choose to walk into it, but that's slow, so you can just use the menu command instead.
Could I get in a quick dono?
Sure.
We have a $50 donation from Mister saying, "Good luck, Frodo."
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so
All right.
yeah, different ride rails there on Duke's side. Not the same mission that Aeon just finished.
This is the one that we foreshadowed earlier, where you do need to bust all of the crates.
Yes, but it's entirely possible, if you're unfortunate, to just move past one, leave it out of your range, and have no way of returning.
It's kind of cool to see these two like done in a row. Like you know, like in a normal run, you wouldn't be doing the 2 crate ones with the jet scorcher.
Not right at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. So we've sort of seen one on the right, now we're seeing one on the left with yeah.
Yeah. Aeon, meanwhile, is doing a different sort of linear break all the crates thing, where you've got a very, very short time. It's not relevant to the speed run because you're going fast.
You go fast.
So
yeah.
actually, on a first try casual play, that one's quite tough to do inside the time limit.
And we're seeing like a little bit of variety in Splatoon's weapon set. So you know, it's a game built around paint and ink, and we saw in that one the weapon was a brush.
Yes, you know, obviously the sort of the traditional shooters, they're guns. Like some are a bit more sort of super soaker based, but at the end of the day, you pull a trigger, a projectile comes out. Whereas the melee weapons are a little more distinct.
Oh, and Aeon now heads to Girl Power Station.
Yes, probably the second most infamous for casual runs.
Yeah, and
maybe
I mean,
the most.
yeah, I mean, we're going to see in the speed run that it's quite different.
Knowledge
or
is
like,
power.
Yeah, if you know where they're going to spawn, then you can handle it. And one of the cool things is you do get a choice of what weapon you want to bring in here.
Yeah, total freedom of main weapon and of special weapon as well. You can just pick up these specials in a can. You're stuck with burst bombs. Splat bombs is a sub weapon, but oh no, you get to choose as well. Yeah, splat bombs is the best, and we'll see why.
Yep, so we're going to see...
Those spawn markers.
Just like in multiplayer, maybe super jumping into a hot zone isn't the most advisable.
I wish my teammates did that. Or didn't, rather.
And I think we did see there Aeon trying to trigger the Octolings to jump in.
Yes, so normally they'll jump in on a pre-scripted with a timer as the level progresses, but if they take any damage, that will trigger them to jump in early.
Now we do just have to wait here, but...
Just a little. There we go. And, the bomb was a little early, but that's fine. Aeon cleans up. Duke, meanwhile, is on probably one of the other most painful missions for a first-time run, which is can't touch this.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, the conceit of that level is do not do not make contact with enemy ink.
Yes, don't take damage.
Yeah, I mean, you can just sort of maybe just as you swim, just take a little fringe, but if the actual damage doesn't start ticking onto you, you're okay. So yeah, we very much want to be careful around that green, but everything's been going very smoothly now, and the use of the curler sub weapon, which you can sort of see is a painting paths ahead of you, is very good. One thing to note about the enemy AI is that when you're in the ink, they do sort of lose a bit of track of you. Like, they can... I think our friends Pearl and Marina point out, they can see that the ink is moving, but if you're on the continuous move, as we want to be in a speed run, then you're usually okay.
Well, the curler itself, the curling bomb, does provoke enemies to sort of track it and try to shoot at it, but they can't. Yeah, that can be useful as well, because grenades in general tend to monopolize the enemy's attention. So sometimes it's useful just to throw it down as a distraction.
Oh, we've got match.
Well, we've got a
match master station, I think it's
yep.
called.
Oh, and then a stray shot takes out Duke there. And fortunately there are some checkpoints, but yeah, Aeon is now onto probably the worst of the unholy trinity.
I mean, it's an interesting one. Like,
yeah.
So the idea of this one is you need to blast all the crates that, like the dark orange crates with the.
Essentially, yeah. Turn the shape on the right into the shape on the left.
Yeah, and the weapon that we've selected, which is quite fast but potentially a little bit perilous, is Rapid Blaster Pro. Which has we don't get to say
don't say deco.
Dang.
It does have splash damage, and as you can see, the regular crates, the ones that are just sort of paler, they will eventually get hurt if you blow something up too close to them. And it's fine enough that just getting in close proximity to a blast twice is enough to break them, which causes an instant failure of the level. like a single one of those regular timber crates breaking, and that would do the whole thing again. There is a checkpoint, but it's very slow to activate. Oh, and
Yeah,
I think-
the
I think we
reticle
did
went off the target just for a moment.
I'm gonna see Duke defending. We're gonna see a few of these, like, I think they're meant to be
energy orbs or something.
like,
then,
yeah. And,
Aeon just protected one already in Girl Power Station.
oh yes, that's true, yep. But yes, these missions require you to basically wade out, well, I mean,
Yeah, this one's
you're defending it as well, but...
Yeah. This one is like the only failure condition is if the orb gets blown up, and the win condition is when you run out of time.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of time left. I was going to say the time, I was like, wait, how decent are we? So, this is fine. Yeah, so when it is hit, it will lose a bit of its health meter, but we should be fine.
In some missions, you can restore its health by shooting it with your own ink. In some missions, you can't. And here we go, Duke just does
like more the
we got
majority
more
of
time.
missions, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to Matchmaster Station.
Yeah.
Like, it is a map that's very dependent on, like, you know, you want to have precision, but you also want to, you know, we're going fast, so
Yeah.
you want to have your speed. We did see a key just drop all the way to the floor. There is a single checkpoint, so while on some of the other maps your checkpoints are for, you know, getting to a
Linear
certain point,
progress.
getting to a certain point in the map. In this stage, you can choose to take your checkpoint at any point, you know, of progress that you want, and that will preserve how far you have busted all the crates.
But the problem is that the actual time spent on activating the checkpoint is substantial because it's up a little platform,
and it does,
way off from the boxes.
and it needs that key, right? That we
Yes.
saw float all the way to the ground.
Yeah, so you have to go out of your way to pick up the key and then go and unlock the checkpoint. So I don't imagine you'd ever see it in a normal speedrun.
Oh hey, we've got a jug for our party.
Oh, wow.
On Duke's side, you know, like we're gonna
Yeah, we can
we're gonna
just
mix some drinks.
have some
and-
punch.
Yeah, like you got your mix amp for the, you know, you're gonna get all your music tunes all rolling, and then we're gonna make some punch.
Aeon, meanwhile, has succeeded at Matchmaster Station, and there's just the last little bit. You want to absolutely pray you don't accidentally hit any of the crates on your way out there, and now there's just a little bit of platforming to get to the end. So
I
that's
think
well
the
done
biggest
there.
problem is falling off near the end because you just
To get back all the way up. Great stuff.
Alright, so I think we're seeing the first, first reconvergence. The first time we're seeing a mission that someone else has done already. So Duke now on bounce pads with the blaster. We saw Aeon do this very early in her route. Yeah, not a particularly complicated mission, but it's just interesting seeing that convergence now. And Aeon going into Cool Jet Station. So we've got, I think, the only boss fight in the first stage that you see in this speedrun route.
Well, you mean first stage? You mean there's more stuff after this?
Oh yeah, we'll see. But essentially, several stations in the game have remixed versions of the bosses, either from the Octo Canyon, the main single player, or I think a couple from Splatoon 1 as well.
Well, I mean,
maybe
like
not.
some of the
Some
Octo
of them were
Canyon
repeats anyway.
bosses are, well, I mean,
Yeah.
namely,
So
I don't remember what it's called,
yeah,
Stamp.
anyway, yeah. The Octo Shower here is
It's one of the most annoying.
well, if you've tried to 1000% the Octo Canyon and tried to had to put up with trying to deal with
That's
this
a
thing.
category.
Yeah, that's a category. That's an in-game category.
Yeah.
Then you essentially you're forced to fight it with a bunch of different weapons. Like trying to deal with that one with the roller, that's an absolute headache. With the inkjet, you've got significantly more power on your side.
I gotta say though, the air control of the inkjet, I do still find this the Octo expansion version is tricky.
Oh well, it's also
Like,
learned a
you're
few
trying
new
to-
tricks
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It's significantly more aggressive and moves quite a bit faster.
Yeah, so we're seeing the process of dealing with this boss is we need to take out the little octocopters above, and then it drops that umbrella down, and
3 times you do it, and then that's it. That's victory.
Video games.
Final stage is significantly more irritating because those little octocopters, they've got helmets. That lets them do essentially an air dodge. So it's you need to well, I mean, when you're not particularly good, you need to just hope you get lucky with your targeting.
Yep, it means.
Yeah, like yeah, definitely. I found them intensely frustrating.
Here, nice.
Very nice.
That looks good.
Yes. And then yeah, that whoosh across there with that rain of ink. Obviously, you don't like it. The Stingray is actually a bit of a mercy mechanic because it can't quite move around as fast while it's firing. And then it actually lands on top of the pillar for a while, which delays the tentacle being exposed. But that's it. That's done.
I did like the little bounce animation.
It's quite cute.
Yeah, it was like, yeah.
But yes, if you've played enough Octo Canyon, you will have thought you were so glad to see the back of that enemy. Turning up again in Octo expansion is definitely something. Alright, yes, and so
we should probably talk a little bit about the train lines.
Yeah,
so
I
we did
guess so.
see over on the left, we've sort of like completed every stage or like every challenge on a line, which isn't important for the speed run, but
No.
you can see that as you get up to a station point that meets with another line, that you start being able to see the shape of it, and
Yes.
you'll gain access to the other stations on that line. And that's sort of relevant for our routing because, as I mentioned, like there are 80 levels total, but we just need to be able to get to the stations where the fangs are.
yes. So in normal play, you can essentially take things in whatever order you like. And unlocking a new line will give you essentially a fresh line to move down.
Oh, we've seen a new fang over on
Oh,
the
indeed.
outside.
What do we have? Oh, is it a UFO?
Yeah, I think maybe like fancy lights.
Oh, yeah, you can just
yeah.
dangle
They
it from
hang
the
lights
ceiling.
on the ceiling. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna have a party,
Yeah, we're gonna
guys.
have a rave.
We're gonna have a party, and we're gonna go to the promised land.
So yeah, the 8-ball here, I think we've seen Aeon handle this one before. So Duke recovers very nicely, so enemy shots that hit those sponges will shrink them. And sometimes that can absolutely ruin your day. But yeah, handling that one well enough. Okay, we've got the ball. Is it going to hit the wall? Is it going to hit the wall? It does, it goes ballistic.
I mean,
It can get you some mileage because it also means it does a lot of damage to the enemies.
Yeah,
The
but
issue
it's
is bringing it under
going
control.
wild. Yes.
And unfortunately, once it starts, you can't get any guarantees that it will stop. Aeon's on a pretty cool mission here, where you're standing on a bunch of crates suspended over a void. So two weird things there. Firstly, if you do too much damage to the ground underneath you, it'll get blown up and you'll fall to your death. But also...
secondly, it's quite hard to recover ink on this level because there's no inkable surfaces for you to, go into the ink. I mean, okay, there's one inkable surface
there's
there.
one.
But, so I mean, there are in some of those crates actual just like ink tank refills, so that's nice.
Yeah. The Tentabrilla there, it packs a punch. That weapon didn't even exist when Octo Canyon got made. So that's the other nice thing about Octo expansion.
Get some new weapons that were introduced into the game between the launch and the DLC.
Because for multiplayer they were free updates, but the single player content never got updated to include them.
We're gonna see Duke try out. Oh, yep. We got to conserve our ink, so we got to go around if we don't make that jump.
Yep. Sometimes you've just got to accept that you've got to take a slightly safer path.
Oh, and the most unfortunately relocalized enemy in the game.
Yeah, like the suckerfish was perfect. Splatoon 1 had two separate English localizations, one for PAL regions and one for North America. And the PAL region one was a little drier, it was a little more straightforward, but it did have a good pun game. In the North American release, those little ink-sucking enemies were called squeegees, which doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, I mean, like, it's a nod to the brand name, I guess.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
maybe it's cute for people who live in America, but like...
Aeon unfortunately not able to get that skip into the rail. Would have saved about 11 seconds or so, I think, but we're
try
still...
again.
Saves a lap anyway. Oh no! I see. Well, best of luck on the second try.
I'm going to refresh our spectator stream, so if there's any donations, maybe while we refresh that.
Sure, we do have a donation of $100 from Anonymous that says, "Congrats on a great event so far all. Please put this towards the Fantasy Zone incentive," which does mean we have met the Fantasy Zone incentive.
Ooh, fantastic. That's 2 incentives down in pretty short time.
Yeah. Cool. Hopefully our desync might be a little bit less now, but
All right, so just for clarity, those circular stations, those are where you find the fangs. So I
Yeah,
think
so-
we have now seen we'll now have seen every fang.
Oh.
I think Aeon is getting to a thing that we haven't seen Duke get before.
I mean,
Let's find out.
we've been a little bit cheeky here, saying
have
that they're for, they're for a party and stuff, but
Party.
party.
We haven't gone up to the part yet. Neither of us have.
No, but I think now that the viewers have seen all of the pieces,
All 4 fangs are now visible.
we will tell you that they aren't actually separate pieces for a party. They actually all become one thing. So if you want to take a guess now that you've seen them all as to what that thing is, yeah,
Just let us know, just put your guesses in the chat.
yeah.
Obviously, though, currently it's 2 fangs all between our 2 races. So we'll see how those ones go. And yeah, every fang gives you a little cutscene where you're stuck talking to the telephone. The 3rd fang that you get gives you a slightly longer cutscene. I'm actually not sure how far off we are.
Duke might be getting it soon, I think.
I guess we'll see. But yeah, we can handle that when it turns up, I suppose.
Indeed. Cool.
All right, so now it's Aeon's turn to go Rainmaker. And yeah, Duke, meanwhile, it looks like he's tackled Girl Power Station. So yeah, we've got no new, probably nothing new on either side, but I guess we'll see. We might have some
I
slightly
think we
different
may have
approaches.
hit the point where the players are going to be returning to, because we've crossed over. Basically,
Yeah, we've seen all 4.
each of the players have got the
Yeah.
fangs from the opposite side, so now they're going to be heading back and doing what we've seen, the other one do.
Yeah.
As we've sort of hinted at before, Splatoon's a pretty, broad game in terms of, we've got the single player campaign, there is multiplayer, and if you're interested in this game, that ink mechanic is used in so many clever ways, that core mechanic of gameplay, when you start playing this game, you get thrown into turf wars, and one of the really cool things is that, the goal is just to cover the map with ink. It's not to get, it's not to get frags.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can, of course, speedrunning this game is also a great way of, showing off your skill in a different way.
Yeah, very much. The movement mechanics are absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
If you don't have a mastery of how the game, how the fundamentals work, you're not going to get fucking speedrun. And then that Octoling does Duke Assault and pulls out a stingray at point-blank range.
I think these Octolings are just teaching us what you probably
these
should
are just-
do in one-on-one combat. It's
These are totally that.
don't jump straight in, to where someone can see you.
Don't use a panic stingray.
Yeah. Oh, but do dodge roll a lot. That's, yep.
We are learning so much from these Octolings.
I mean, they're an example, one way or the other. And they're using a bit of touch off the help on bomb because he was. Oh yeah, just. I like. Yeah, those Octo times that I don't have to deal with. A classic example of how the way that levels of frame makes the scene terrifying when you're starting out a game.
Your mic's kind of breaking up, by the way.
Oh,
Yep.
pardon.
Just want to let you know.
Yeah, in this context, the snipers, they're tracking you, but they can't track you.
They can't track you well enough, so as long as you keep moving, they just can't do a thing.
Go to the umbrella stage, and we were seeing cheekily taking out the boxes underneath the poor little.
You just need to get rid of the
Octarians.
Octarians. It doesn't tell you. Octarians, rather, it doesn't tell you how.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
And are we gonna see? Oh, that long range on the tent umbrella is enough. Just need to take a bit of time to get your health back. The tent umbrella does also have a shield that you can put up, but that can be a bit dangerous
It's
deploying it
very
on this
slow.
level.
Like there is a reasonable amount of delay for when you start shooting and when
Oh, that's
the,
a very clean
the shield
finish
comes up.
there.
But that is the gimmick of that weapon class. That,
Yeah.
That yeah,
Yes.
they have weapons.
So Aeon now just needs to not hit the fail balloons. Yes, they are actually called that.
They can take. Or do they have health?
I don't believe so. I think
No
the all
way.
is.
Oh no! Yeah,
no.
on the last one.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Um,
that should not have happened. I was aiming for that box.
So this stage is interesting too because there are actually more boxes than you need to destroy. So you have a degree of choice in terms of exactly what you take and what you decide is not worth the trouble. I believe also the weapon choice in this level makes a big difference.
Excuse me?
Oh no! Yeah.
So
I remember Duke having a bit of trouble with this one too.
Yeah.
Early in the run.
I just have. I don't know. I'm definitely
Yeah.
way behind them. That's for sure.
Yeah, so seeing on the right side, yeah, there is that offer to hack the station, but we're not going to do that. We're not allowed to hack our way through.
Well,
We're gonna... Hackers.
Yeah, bribery.
I mean, we haven't really talked much about the
I
mascots
can't even do
here,
this
and
stage anymore.
because
Oh
gosh.
no! Yeah, I guess not. So we have occasionally we've had on the radio calling, and we've had Pearl and Marina, who are the essentially the newsreaders.
Oh, yeah,
Or
Duke
Splatoon 2.
taking a fall on the left there, unfortunately.
That was just unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pearl and Marina also turn up in Octo expansion. They have a bit more, like, I guess they get a bit more of a role play here. Okay,
For now, they're mostly just there to snark at you.
and carefully working this out.
There we
that,
go.
That
Nice.
should not have taken that much to do.
So that stage, right, you're sort of relying on the cycles, right, to
On
know where you...
on my stage or
stuff.
Duke?
Yeah, on yours, yeah.
A little bit, but they don't play
Yeah.
too much of a role, except for like the using the bomb on the box.
Mm. Alright, and we're gonna see another bang. Another?
Yes, so Duke getting the third thing. Not sure which. I didn't actually see which one this was, but it might be the point where putting them all together is already going to make you suspicious. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You've got enough pieces that it should be very obvious on that screen alone what you're looking at there.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. What is that thing? It's got like
What is
it's
that
the
thing? What could
fan.
it possibly be?
it's a ceiling fan with the like.
Oh,
so
ceiling
it's-
fans are dangerous. You got to be careful.
Yeah,
with
it's a
those.
ceiling fan with the extra lighting for our party.
It's
to
got
match-
it's got these special little angled fan blades to direct the air in more efficiently.
Okay, fine. Yes, it's a bit ominous. Let's
Yeah,
just put
so
that.
Duke does have to deal with a slightly extended cutscene here because Captain Cuttlefish is finally getting a bit of his memory back, and it's like, have you seen this Inkling? At which point you need to decide to put in some information about Agent 3, who is essentially just the
player character.
Never done that
from
before.
the very
I
first
would be
game.
sick if that
Oh,
worked.
that was cool. That was cool.
Very cool.
Just
Yeah.
ride
So
the
it's
trailer.
like the furler, yeah.
It had a disagreement.
Extending, no, like able to ride the round bit of the furler.
Mm.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, so yeah, Agent 3 we've sort of been like, I think Agent 3 looked like this, and I think that's a really cute little way to sort of like let the player customize to what they themselves might
Yeah.
have played in Splatoon 1.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where if they've been on the same platform, you might even do something cute with data transfer, like peeking at save files.
Yeah.
But doing it diegetically is fun.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. And so, of course, that sort of leads me to think that we might see Agent 3 later.
Well, it seems a bit odd for Cuttlefish to be bringing them up if they're not going to turn up.
And
But
for
you
us
never
to
know.
define how they're going to look.
Yes. Like, why does it matter?
Just imagine if they didn't turn up.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is what they look like.
Sorry.
No.
It's like a picture of the credits or something.
Yep, that's it, that's all.
Aeon now has her third thing. You got that? Face Splatoon?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Totally. Well, now, yeah, Duke is on Matchmaster Station and just...
Which is thankfully, like, like, there is another matching stage in the route, but I don't think we're going to see it
No.
today. Yeah. So at least there's only one of these.
Yes. I mean, like, how long did you take to do this when you were first going through? Was it half an hour?
No,
Was it longer?
I mean, like, because you don't pick the rapid blaster, like for your-
You don't pick the rapid blaster,
Okay,
maybe.
yeah, but that's because you're a blaster, you know, like, tragic. But like, you know, the blaster just has perils associated with it. Like, and if you play through casually, I think you get the choice of, like,
I think the other options are charges. Maybe the
Fire
squeezer.
and squeezer.
yeah. So like, I wouldn't want to use squeezer. Like, take the charger and just tap shot every box very slowly and carefully, and it won't take half an hour. I will admit it is slow, but I don't think it'll take half an hour. But yes, this is very nice, like sort of just aiming on the corners of the boxes to get the, you know, double or even triple
I
blasts.
swear.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other issue is that oh, there we go. I think, oh, it's over now anyway over there, but the orange boxes actually have slightly less health than the other ones too. So you can do things like killing them with splash damage that's not enough to break the yellow boxes at the same distance.
Right, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So, might have a bit of time for donos,
Yeah, I reckon.
or just anything that our hosts might want to.
Remind us of?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we do have some donos, but there is one thing I would like to remind you of once I've finished reading them. So we have $10 from GS that says, love to see a great game being run for a great cause. And $10 from Prophet saying, happy to see an Australian speedrun community. Good luck to the runners and can't wait to see more rounds in the future. The thing I would like to remind people of, though, is if you want your donations to go to an incentive, please put which incentive in your comments. Otherwise, we just don't know what to put them towards. Except raising money for Beyond Blue, which by itself is a good thing. But we can be better.
And
I think that GS might be GS standard. We've seen around the Splatoon community, I think. So yeah, shout outs. Thank you for tuning in, and supporting our runners.
so yeah, Aeon now is on Can't Touch This. We'll see how she goes. Duke, meanwhile, just absolutely styling on the Octo shower.
Oh, of course. Yes, you just reminded me when we were talking about 90s or whatever
Yes.
references. Yes, a lot of the names or some of the there's little bits of jokes around references to various
That's really
pop
unfortunate.
culture things. Yes, that is quite unfortunate.
Yeah, just what it's like that. So yes, you've got it is very, very like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah. And like even just things down to we're not going to see it, but there's even like this like IRC type chat room that turns up in the UI at some point.
Yeah, just for like essentially just a dialogue you can use. Oh no! Those little bombs are dangerous.
Yeah, that was
That blast looked like it was
that one didn't
just on
die
the edge.
for any
Yeah.
reason. Like it's just dumb. I think I had trouble with
And
that.
they're a bit-
Wow, I kind of cheated. I don't know how I didn't get any damage from that.
I think just touched it just short enough that the sort of the damage over time didn't accumulate.
Yeah.
So like in multiplayer as well, stepping in enemy ink will incur damage over time, and that does lead to some interesting weapon builds.
Yes, so there's ways for you to get 99.9 damage from your weapon, but that means that you can rely on people just doing a tiny little mistake in their movement, and then you've effectively got a one-shot weapon.
Double shot at the end there.
Very nice. So that Octo shower is down over on Duke's side.
Yes, that shielded Octarian can be a bit irritating, so
Back
very,
on-
very
back
handy.
on Aeon's side,
Yeah,
yeah.
very handy that they also just went for a fall.
A little bit of fire coming in here.
Funny, like I've been struggling at the start of this level instead of the end, where it usually causes people most trouble.
And now we're through. So,
Nice.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
We're probably a minute apart, I think. Which
Yeah, you've got one more stage than
accurate.
I do, I believe.
Yeah.
So we're very close to the end of the subway section, and on a first run, you might not realize that there's more to it. You might just think, oh, well, we'll get these and
Well, I
we'll
mean, like
finish all
there's
the
80
stations.
levels, right? It feels like
we'll
quite a lot of
explore.
content. Yeah.
Because there's also separately, we're not really engaging with it in the speedrun, but there's a money mechanic essentially. Those points are used to pay for admission into levels, and they can be used to get some other things, which are mostly irrelevant.
For multiplayer, or is that?
Yeah, you can buy you can put them into the vending machine. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it has a fourth fang, so Aeon's just got little artillery thing.
A timed mission here, so we do know that there's at least this much time.
Yeah.
Here.
Meanwhile, Duke's going to be in for a big old cutscene.
Yeah. So did we work it out? And I actually didn't look at the chat when we asked the chat. To guess,
I wasn't being particularly.
But look, it's like some of those pieces. Yeah. Okay. Fine. It's possibly not setting up for a party.
Yes. Well, a different kind of party.
A different kind of party. So we've been talking about the Promised Land and how we're going to get to the Promised Land. We're going to assemble
all four fangs with the telephone sitting on top.
And that's, it's going to teleport us there, maybe.
Yep. And
oh god, it's a blender.
Yeah, it is. But that doesn't seem to deter Cuttlefish or Agent A.
Yeah, that...
Telephone is giving them instructions. Please step on board.
I mean, if you were an Octoling or an Inkling, do you think that they use blenders for like
well, I mean, given that the leader here is basically saying yes, it is. They do know what blenders are.
Well, no, but like you go to Krusty Sean and he gives you like pre-made drinks. Have you ever made your own drink in your life? Like, but no, like the point of this sort of mission is sort of like the people operating this. They're trying to make it, optimal life forms, which apparently is a thing that you do by smushing up.
Apparently.
Other life forms and then making them into.
Not if Agent 3 has anything to say about it.
Yes.
Yeah, Agent 3 turns up.
Yeah.
Wait, Duke, you picked the boy?
By accident. I was mushing a bit too much and went onto the male
control
character.
Stick tilted. Yep. So we do have Agent 3. It's nice to see Agent 3 variety. Yeah, because usually we do mash our way through to girl Agent 3. But yes, so Agent 3 is here, has bust open the blender
and rendered themselves unconscious in the process. So it's like a rescue with some complications.
And we're sort of heading into the next section. Aeon's starting this as well of the run, where all of that confusion over where are the players up to, respective to one another. They are going to head into a final segment where things meet up again.
Yeah, so this is now the game is now linear from this point on.
And this is sort of an escape sequence. So we've been underground this whole time in this subway system, and now we are going to try and get our way to the surface. Like, the blender wasn't the way to the Promised Land. Maybe we've just been told lies. Like, what even is the Promised Land? We're gonna.
Let's exit through this convenient hole in the middle.
We have no weapon this bit because as
we're off the rails.
Yeah, as Nico mentioned before, like we've been given a weapon by each of the stages.
Yeah, and like the telephone's hardly going to be in a mood to loan them to us after we've decided to break out.
So for a little bit of this escape sequence, it is just about stealthing our way through.
Well, sometimes it's sometimes it's also just about running and being faster than the enemies.
Yeah,
as we see there, just blatant disregard.
Oh, okay.
So the ink rail, oh no, it's not quite enough there. We saw some shots dodged, but then not the second time.
Ouch. I'm just watching the cutscene at the same time so I can watch the stream.
Oh yes, and a fall there too. So this is the biggest part where no death abuse comes in, because we see that little meter in the bottom right filling up. 20% every time you die. If it gets to 100%, then you're given the option. Oh no! We might even see the option turn up. I don't want to curse your run. But yes, if you get it to 100%, then the game will graciously allow you to just skip to the next level. Obviously, in a casual run, if you're getting frustrated and you're just sick of a particularly irritating challenge, that's that's fair enough. That's a reasonable mitigation thing for player frustration.
Here we go.
That was pretty close.
Alright.
Okay, line of sight broken. That's good.
And checkpoints will restore that sort of layer of,
Yeah, they'll fully heal you.
of armor sort of that we have. It's not exactly armor because there's also...
Pseudo armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is also just armor that you can pick
There's
up.
equipment that you... Yeah, sort of.
It is armor.
Yeah. I mean, to what effect you can call, like, things that you wear in your ears armor, but...
Oh, like it's got a motorbike helmet and whatever. The armor's different for Octo.
Oh, right, yeah, right, yes.
You get a face shield and everything.
Yeah. My bad. So yeah, the players are sort of in the same level now.
Yes, so same phase, the coccyx phase.
Yes, they're all named after, like, you can sort of see that diagram. It's like a body. Like we are progressing through the systems upwards.
I might need to be a bit more sneaky here.
So yeah, we're seeing a degree of movement here. So Aeon does choose to actually go for the stealth thing there, just waits for the Octarian to turn around, and then just bamboozles them with a little quick...
They
quick
try.
pop.
They're very cute.
Oh yeah, they're hardworking. They have the, you know... And yeah, we see that sniper just doesn't have time enough to tell the knights to shut up and just gets trivially ignored.
Nothing.
Yeah, these rotating ink platforms, they're alright, I guess.
I mean, yeah, I think because the whole stage has things that sort of move and rotate on cycles, like, you can sort of... That is scary.
Very scary.
Okay, but the checkpoint is there. Yeah, there are some things to line up in terms of, you know, when you go. And yeah, you may end up having to wait for platforms.
So Duke has now entered the Villi phase, and now we can see, like the objective is to find your way to a weapon.
Yeah, so we're not going to spend the whole of the escape defenseless.
No. Fortunately.
Oh my god, I almost died.
We believe.
We believe.
This is actually getting quite tight now.
Quite tight.
Good.
So down comes that, heck, I forgot what they're called. Are they octocopters? No, that's the...
It's a stamp of some kind. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not an octo
forgotten
stamp,
something.
but
No, it's not.
yeah, it's a bit different from
Anyway.
what octo stamp.
Yeah,
But we have
The
picked up a
key gives us access to a new area, and so this one we'll see we've got some ink rails, pretty straightforward. Essentially, you just make sure that you time your movements enough that you don't get hit by the missiles,
Very nice.
and there'll be
Move
goodies at the
somehow.
end.
That's a magic box.
Yep. So I'm just gonna. I'm loving this ink rail usage of like. No, we don't need to
You
like.
can just jump, cut a few
yeah.
corners.
Yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, and then this Octarian is going to very helpfully break some boxes for us,
Come on, friends.
because you know, boxes aren't on a team. There's no friendly fire here. They just get smashed by any shots coming their way.
And we're gonna pick up.
Yeah, a little can with splat bombs in it.
So, my question for the runners is: are you gonna try for the skip?
No.
No.
Okay.
So I guess we can talk about this. It's actually refreshing seeing the Octo shot segment.
So yeah, we are going to go through and get ourselves the octo shot, and then we're going to proceed as the game intends. But there is the possibility of using just the splat bomb to progress through a section, like just chuck bombs up.
Yeah,
over
we'll see
a
it
ledge.
later on, the sort of section.
Maybe I should not have asked the runners that, because now they both know what the other's intending. But there is still, I think, time
Oh
possibly
no,
for
we
Aeon to
talked
back
about
on
it
that
at the
decision.
before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Doesn't
fair.
seem like the kind of thing that you'd renege on.
If you're coming behind enough, it might be the Hail Mary you need.
It's a great way to just pour 5 minutes into
I
that.
mean,
bit of
yeah,
a
that's what happens
That is
on my
also true.
TVs.
And we haven't finished actually talking about what the trick is. So yes, you can throw a bomb over a ledge, which will
Essentially,
activate just a
yeah.
tiny little bit of like it will get
Switches are
a
ink
collision.
activated, not
Yeah.
damage activated.
Yeah, so it'll get a collision on the switch, and then you'll be able to go up. So we're not doing that today, but it is an interesting little trick. It's like very unreliable, but yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah,
better or worse. The game is
It's done by Shadow Chimera, who used to be a competitive Splatoon player for Team SRL, which is a speed running team.
Yeah.
So,
fitting to be discovery stuff then.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, once you've actually got the Octo shot, this is very straightforward. You can just paint your way up the walls now, activate switch, and everything's groovy. But yeah, so if you get to this point without having picked it up in this stage, the game is merciful, or possibly just make some assumptions, and will automatically award it to you at the beginning of the next level. Just an interesting bit there.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like your spawn setting. It's like, oh yeah, we've got here, we're just going to spawn you.
Just like where you just start with the Octo shot and a splat bomb.
I'm not quite sure. I think like this stage, there's a lot of platforming, but like they drift up and down. So does that like force you to sort of have to follow them like at their pace?
It's a cycle, so yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we're gonna see. Both of them. Like we've got not a lot of time between the runs now.
And given there's a few hairy sections left in the run, so there's every possibility for things to get even closer. This phase, I think this one often flies under the radar. Like in a casual run, it sort of like this is because it's the first one you get in a long time after being disarmed. Whoa!
Okay, we just saw that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that sounds like my TV, honestly. I think I did something similar in my TV, actually.
I think there's a little bit of backtracking here. We're seeing.
No, it's just a fresh section with the same gimmick.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, those falling blocks.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not too much of a problem for trying to go fast. They're pretty tiresome if
I was thinking that you had
not
to go
confident.
back to get the key section or something.
I think it's actually a separate section.
So yeah, the dress here, we do have to take out the Octo.
It's just a big nuisance.
And they launch off another sort of type of weapon, which is normally a super weapon or a special weapon in the multiplayer.
Damn, that was
The Tenta missiles.
That was very clean. Like I was like, we've just barely seen it, and then it's popped. So
I
nice
don't
shooting
think
there.
I've ever seen the
I
Octo
bounced
to
off
stay
the
there.
thing. Okay, excuse me.
Oh my gosh, what?
Oh no!
That's never happened before.
That was scary, because luckily I bounced back on the platform. I would have had a really long death.
The Duke now is just now going through some lasers.
That was, I think, one of those things where, like, you're reacting to a thing that you wouldn't even expect to happen. That was well done.
And so far, they start off pretty straightforward. You know, you just, they're on cycles. They
These
move
are
around a
not
bit.
like the lasers that we've been dealing with, you know.
No, they're not. I mean, they're a bit meaner because those lasers really mean business. They'll wreck you if they hurt you. And just climbs up, gets over the lasers, nice, and like makes it look very easy. That's obviously a death trap.
Very nice.
Oh, inking to get over. Just taking a nice straightforward route. Pops through. Oh no!
I walked a little bit too far back.
Yeah, it's a bit of a perspective problem, I guess.
Oh well.
So yeah, we've got both players tagged in with lasers now. Makes it over.
Yeah, just taking the time.
Yeah.
Or sorry, taking the time to
Seriously?
touch the...
Oh, and again, so yeah, we're looking very close now. Aeon gets past the death trap.
There'll be more of those.
Oh, I'm
Here
sure,
we go.
I'm sure.
Yep, so we're now actually in the same...
In the same room.
Yep, we're in the same place now.
Yep, we've got that checkpoint activated. Okay. Duke is... Oh,
Making
moving
a third
around.
attempt. There we go.
There we go.
So,
We're
I
both
think...
through. We are on identical pace now.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. Fantastic.
Oh my god. I just had a look.
I was
Yes,
not expecting
it's like a
that.
second between them or so.
Yeah, that is fantastic, guys. It is actually possible to skip that part of the room, right? But it's extremely
Yeah, it's
finicky.
not
Yeah.
worth going for, at least not for me.
Oh,
It's very
yeah,
tight.
it's made for like really top runners. Like,
Yeah. So as you saw earlier in the rooms, like where you can ink around the lasers and take a nice wide path up the wall and go around them, there is sort of an unintended way of inking up the wall next to those lasers there and squeezing through. But it's fine enough that it's not.
not something you'd want to try on a run.
Well, when you're
Or a
racing
race,
as
yeah.
well, you know, like, oh, we've managed to get things even here.
Okay, cool.
We get to go around with inkjets.
Yeah, so we're just picking up data points or something here.
Yeah, I
they're-
think so.
so yeah, it's really funny. They're not in like the 80% route, but they are in other parts of the Octo expansion.
Yeah, there are several levels where you've got to get all 8 or so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and they're played on the multiplayer maps, aren't they?
No, they're
no.
most of them are in these big
Oh.
cubes. It's like glass tumbly
I-
things.
I'm messing up really
I must be
badly.
thinking of another collectible bomb type thing.
Oh, don't worry, I just went off route, so...
They-
We're just gonna float our way to back on route, hopefully.
yeah.
So yeah, the inkjet, it can levitate over ground, but it can't fly. If you're
Yeah.
over a bottomless pit, then you will still fall down.
Yeah, it's
You
sort of-
can get a little bit of distance though, because you're still able to do that little jump hop.
These things that
Yeah,
cooperate.
you can sort of like activate the booster just for a little bit of a hop, but and that sort of like maintains the momentum at the height you're at. So, but yeah, it is sort of like got enough pressure to hold you up at a certain height most of the time.
Very nice there.
And speaking of pressure, the runners, yeah, pretty much still on pace.
Very nicely avoided there by Aeon. Those sniper lasers definitely weren't going to kid around.
Hit the button. It's not that hard.
That button is so hard to hit.
Yeah, so we're just going around
There
the
we go.
corner here and, yep, get that switch that will open up access to, yep, there we go. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, we're moving this giant contraption around. We've got a little zapfish there held inside the light bulb. And what's
The
that gonna do?
Zapfish, which we've seen, like, we haven't seen them at all in Octo Expansion, but they're sort of, you know, the MacGuffin of the regular campaign.
Free the zapfish.
Yeah.
This next stage is going to absolutely decide.
Free them so that we can then, like, free them from the Octolings so that you can then take them and use them. For some,
yeah.
like, I don't know.
Not
It's
sure I thought that one through.
It's not really liberation. It's more like stealing back a resource.
So we're now on to the last, last stage. Last one that sort of got any platforming.
And we have an escort mission
Yes.
with, as we mentioned before, we've got these energy cores. And again, like some of the ones that we saw in the, you know, in the subway, this energy core is not, like, you can't heal it by shooting it. It will get a heal when we get to checkpoints, but we do need to escort it all the way through this mission.
And as you can see, just getting sprinkled on does a little bit of damage to it.
Yeah, so we're trying to manage going fast at the same time as, you know, keeping it alive.
And of course, keeping itself alive.
Yes, that's
if you
also
get
important.
splattered, then that's still a game over.
And of course, so we're shooting it both to move the, like, just to move the platform forward. Sorry, it doesn't get health.
Yes.
So we also need to manage our ink so that we can keep shooting it.
So that's, you know, why you see Aeon constantly ducking back into the ink after firing little bursts, just to make sure that that ink is topped up. We do have a spare ink tank sitting on the corner there.
That's not
Ooh,
doing.
Brooke's having a little bit of trouble.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Oh, the shots!
Ooh.
So, unfortunately,
Wow.
I think both of our runners having a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, that bomb sitting right next to the energy core.
So, yeah, their progress having to be reset just a little bit. So it's gonna-
Those balloons are a bit of a callback to the hot seat in the first game.
Yeah, I mean, balloons turn up in a few places.
Oh, they're in
Yeah.
Octo Valley and
They
Octo
do
Canyon
turn
as
up,
well,
yeah,
aren't
yeah,
they?
they do.
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh man, but the first, yeah,
The hot seat multi in the first game was
it
something.
was a thing. Yeah.
Nice, stops that splat bomb getting launched.
This is quite a nasty stage. I think we have seen, like, yeah, just when you're trying to go fast at the same time as keeping it alive, it can be quite difficult.
Yeah, so these lasers here, they mean business. You can turn them off by shooting at the switches. And we've got giant bowling balls in the way as well.
Sure.
Yeah,
why
so
not?
that laser, like, you know, I think quite deliberately I'm just gonna go through that one. And oh no! The bowling ball is just there to ruin the day.
Take it carefully. Here comes the bowling
So
ball.
the bowling balls is
Vegetarian,
it's
like,
like, oh yeah, I'm fine.
Are you kidding me?
like, yeah.
This is so close.
Ooh,
Yeah,
so
this
close.
is so close. I think this is a little bit of a callback. We did have I remember watching your run at PAX a couple of years ago in this segment where sometimes, as Nico loves to yell at me whenever I'm speedrunning, it's
I
like,
think you've got it. Like, there's no way.
oh,
Okay, yeah.
I fell off the
'Cause,
edge.
We'll see. We'll see how the fight goes. But
yeah, Duke
yeah.
is
Duke has now finished
progressing.
the challenging platform gameplay. Effectively, there's we've got a fight left.
Yeah.
And a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah,
And
I mean the
now Aeon's
cutscenes
there.
aren't going to be relevant to
No.
our runner's ability to overtake again. So it's looking pretty strong for Duke.
Yeah.
I'm going to be rooting for Aeon to get through. Yep, we've got. I mean,
Nah, he's
Yep.
got
we
it.
have gotten to the end. But,
I would like to remind you my track record of the final level and jumping off the stage.
Right. I didn't think it was after that. Not in front of.
Here we go.
We have 2 challenges remaining for our speedrunners. First up, should we just let the game explain it for us, or are we going to spoil it?
Oh, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there. So yeah, this section you do have to navigate, but it's completely on rails. There's no real room to deviate, and it's all just down to execution.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I was going to mention something else.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, no. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah. So our now effectively we've got an ominous elevator going up.
Ah, the loading screen of every game, right? It's just a big loading screen. We're just gonna load, like, we're gonna load the promised land, right?
Ooh.
That was looked quite deliberate.
Yes, I can't remember whether that's actually a thing or if that's just the case where it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
It is
It
deliberate
skips the
to save
cutscene.
time.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. So we take that splat there.
And oh, look up there. We've got Cuttlefish tied up again, and Agent 3 with some unfortunate growth on their head.
It's a group. Like, just think
Yeah.
about it. If you got blended up, you could be part of that group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Think about what you could have been.
yeah. Like.
Join us.
Yeah. So here we go. The Agent 3 fight is pretty straightforward. Like, does not have the kinds of tricks of the post-game fight.
No.
But we do see, the baller come out. Duke's gonna just knock that in the corner and break the baller.
Very nice.
And Agent 3's gonna try and dodge roll away, but
Yep.
So we're just going to be basically beating up Agent 3 in multiple stages. So the next one will be up on top of this
Yep.
platform.
So
Wow,
they pull out a
that's so
stingray. If you're good with a bomb, then that's basically irrelevant.
Yep.
And now
Finally,
final stage.
People see a splashdown.
Just goes ham with the splashdown. Gets 3 in a row. And there we go. Kaboom. And again. So you really don't want to get hit by that splashdown. It will ruin your day. And there we go. So technically, strictly speaking, once you beat Agent 3, you could argue that the game is sort of the remaining gameplay is sort of an auto scroll. It's possible to fail, but if you succeed, then it'll always take the exact same amount of time.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'm just bad at it
it's looking
sometimes.
pretty strong here. We're looking pretty strong here. But yeah, let's
Hey, we
just
both finished
our way on
on
up.
finish underestimate. Just.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've also, before we get to that section, we have a very long cutscene.
Yeah, so if there's any donations or anything to say, we've got time for it. Maybe if the runners also want to do some shout outs or anything.
I mean, I don't have much to say, but been quite a good run, quite a good race, a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. So
Yeah, I'm glad it was close.
Yeah, it's been a really great show, guys.
Mm.
It's been awesome watching. And yeah, we're going to see. So Agent 3 is being knocked out. It's just going to be...
Fortunately, we don't have to go up that ladder in real time.
Why do we have ladders when the people of this world can just become squids or octolings, octopuses, and like what? Surely a ladder is a less efficient form of transport than swimming your way up.
Oh, we have found the outside.
I think when I was playing through this casually, like this part of the game was actually like, wow, yeah, it's such a beautiful, pretty game. Like, I've spent a lot of time with Splatoon, and like you get a little bit emotional even at this point. The gang's all here. Everyone's like, you've just done the escape, and you're getting the rescue. There is one final epic battle that we're gonna do, but yeah.
It's the rap battle between Cuttlefish and Pill.
Oh yeah, that's true. The most important one. Yep. Yep.
Yes. They're very busy indulging themselves and don't
So
quite
yeah, here we
realise.
go.
Oh, there we go.
So we escaped, but
Something emerging from the water.
See, it's super morbid.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not my mic. But yeah, super
Yep.
morbid.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And then just. Yep.
yeah.
Up we come. Hello.
So if you didn't know, Splatoon is actually set in a post-apocalyptic
Yeah, it's like
world.
12,000 years in the future.
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
sea levels have risen and humans are extinct.
Yeah, so like we're seeing this statue is a bit of a relic of the past life forms that used to live on this world. And there are hints of it in some of like when you do the single player campaigns,
Yeah.
you pick up like these sea scrolls that sort of hint at the first life forms, or like the first, maybe not even the first, but
Right, yeah.
previous life forms that had been around. And so we're seeing that back however long ago, someone created
12,000 years.
Yep.
That's Tata. So yeah, the phone is called Commander Tata.
Yep. And that was tasked to, I guess,
It's like sort of uplift whoever comes next.
Yeah,
Help people
yeah.
who are on the path to,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
greater prosperity. and-
Except it's just that this
Oh.
AI has maybe had a little bit of a misguided concept of what.
Yeah, the Inklings and Octolings
is-
don't quite live up to Tata's standards. So apparently the answer is to exterminate them with a giant cannon made of goo from a bunch of previous test subjects.
Candidates, yeah. So yes, we are going to see here, this giant head. Marina, our resident pet wizard, is going to work out that, it's going to actually destroy the world. So what can we do to stop it? I'm going to place, so she's going to place on that statue.
We just need to cover it with ink, right? That'll block the sun.
Yeah.
Because it's solar powered.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're
we've got
gonna
MS
work.
Paint,
MS Paint or some paint program, and it's
Cephala Paint.
and it's even got like the little audio track down the bottom. It's even yeah. But yes, so she's gonna be placing, as she's just shown on the left side, these hyper bombs onto, and we see Marina's a bit of a manga fan as well. It's hinted in some of the Splatfests that happen. But yes, so we get to see some of her amazing shoujo art.
I can't believe
And-
she did all this in Paint's eye.
With a trackpad, I think. Like, I think, you can see...
Like she's using one hand to hold the laptop. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So,
It's a PowerPoint presentation on Paint's eye.
yeah.
No
So
idea
yes,
when
this
she
long
played it.
cutscene, is basically explaining, like, the idea of what you're going to do in this final level. You've got 3 minutes to cover the statue in ink, which sounds a lot like...
A turf war, hey?
Yeah,
That's 3 minutes.
3 minutes. So in the multiplayer,
Yep,
turf
there we
war,
go.
defend
So we're
ink
actually
was-
getting a bit of fourth wall playfulness here.
Yeah, and so like when I was saying earlier, like where you get to this part of the game, you feel a bit emotional about how the time you spent in Splatoon. It's like it brings it all back to that. The circle is closed with like, we're going to do a turf war to win the final battle, and we do just need to. It's pretty straightforward. These hyper bombs drop at spaced intervals, and you've got the ink rails that you do need to travel on in order to. You don't need to turf the whole thing yourself. You're going to use the hyper bombs to cover a large area of ink, and they just need a tap to explode. Playing casually, the only problem here is potentially getting lost. You just go on the wrong ink
Each
rail.
place is way too fast.
But yeah, it's pretty straightforward if you know where you're going.
Yeah. You've got a reasonable margin for like extra time as well, which technically doesn't. Yeah, like if you need to, you can avail it of yourself in the speed run. It doesn't actually affect time because the game's not over until the 3 minutes runs out. If by some stroke of misfortune, if you fall into the water, or if you just get a bit lost and you aren't quite able to get all the bombs detonated in time, then that is a game over, and that's very bad.
That's very bad. The world gets destroyed. Like,
Yeah, I
you do
mean-
not want to see that.
Yeah. Also, that's just 3 more minutes you can have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount
So
of
you can
times I
see,
completed this and then jumped off and landed in the water.
Okay, we're gonna hope that doesn't happen. We do see that the runners, like, if you know where the bombs are gonna drop, you can wait for them because, like, they're not.
Just get there and
You can't do anything, like, in terms of progress for the objective until they drop. I mean, you could try inking it all by hand, but I'm pretty sure that the actual mission objective.
Yeah, it's inked helipad, so it's 100%.
I'm
That one
pretty
has to
sure that
be
we're going
a
above
pixel in the
100
corner.
anyway.
Oh,
So, multiplayer turf war, you know, the players get scored on how much of the map you cover in your own ink. So, yes, we are gonna possibly, get 8% at the end of this. So we really do want that 100% right.
it's okay. I can just chill here for a bit
One
longer.
extra lap. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Little ahead of schedule.
Try.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, if this game is, you know, make sessions to the fact that you're not going to come in speed running it right at the start. So there's a degree of extra time that, you know, you don't need 3 minutes to get everything in. It's just, you know, it's nice to get stuff on the first
Yeah,
pass.
you can do it in like a minute 40 or even less than that. I think a minute 20 is like
Like if they had all spawned.
it's their whole spawn. Yeah, you can start at like 1 minute 20 left on the clock and still finish it off.
Yeah.
And indeed, yeah, I'm not actually sure whose sound's getting played, but once we get the 1 minute left time, we actually get a change in music track. You know, once again, just like Turf War multiplayer.
So I think, our runners have basically got just a few more on Aeon's side.
Yep.
But we're basically good here.
I had to make sure I wasn't
Trying
trying
to
to
run.
dodge
Yeah,
that.
we're not falling in the wrong
Yeah,
yet.
strictly speaking, it's just don't fall in
Please
the water.
no.
I wasn't
That'd be
trying
a
to.
tough
It's within your power to decide who wins this race.
And that's game. GG.
Just think about
Yeah, it's on
responsibility.
wait,
So,
ends the
time
countdown
is-
this time. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
End of the countdown.
Sorry. So, yep,
Yeah, sorry,
that was time on.
on Duke's side.
Yep.
Once the game tape comes in.
Yep, and we're gonna see it. Sorry, we should have talked about that
Order,
earlier.
by the way. Alright, thank goodness there's time.
And so, yep, there's gonna be time on.
Yeah, time for A on there.
Yep.
And so yeah, now we just get treated to the victory cutscene.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've got the giant.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
very, very nice.
So here comes the statue is charging its lasers.
Indeed, we'll soon be firing its laser.
Yep, and here we go. So Pearl is going to respond with her own special attack.
Killer Whale might be familiar if you played the first game.
Or if you played the Final Splatfest.
Indeed, this
Yeah.
gets brought back.
And here we go. So to finish off this turf war, we're going to respond, you know, to that final laser and
With the
just
score
like-
meter.
Yeah, with the score meter, which is what does turn up in the multiplayer as well when you play turf war. How much of the map did you manage to ink? We've got the fight back and forth, and,
Yup, we've broken it.
and as
How
we
high
did
do the numbers
say,
go?
there were a lot of eights.
A
in
lot of
this,
eights.
yeah. So
Yes. Yeah, this is the game where the pre-release publicity for this one involved the producer
director, yeah.
making 8 poses.
yes, very good. Yep. And yeah, that's basically Octo expansion. So
Yeah. There's obviously there's a little more than what you see in this speedrun.
there's quite a bit.
There's quite a bit more. Obviously, there's all the stations that they just didn't do at all because like they're not
Why would you
needed.
do them?
Some of which are quite amusing. And there's also a post-game fight,
Which we won't be.
which we won't be doing.
Yeah.
But Agent 3 was robbed the first time round, clearly.
Yeah, there's a sort of rematch. It's
So,
not an actual rematch, but yeah.
Yeah. Not quite.
Yeah. So yeah, if you enjoyed that, you know, Splatoon's a really great game. We're going to be seeing, you know, lots of hype for Splatoon 3 coming up soon as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a game with both, you know, it's got single player campaigns, it's got multiplayer online, and it's got co-op online as well, which we didn't talk about at all.
No, not at all. But that's
So,
fine. That's not
yeah.
what speedrun's about.
No, it's not. But yeah, just want to thank the runners for putting on an amazing show.
Yeah, that's such a good race.
We
Yeah.
didn't think it would be that close, but we're glad it was that close.
Mm,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good run.
cool. And yeah, is there anything else that our hosts want to add?
If there are any shout outs that you would, or that any of you would like to make that you haven't made already, please feel free.
Not particularly. At least not for me.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'd just like to thank both runners and commentators for that amazing run and commentating. And let you know that up next we have The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time being run by Mikami Hiro doing all the child dungeons as adult. It'll be a fun watch as Ocarina of Time is a very, very broken game. I will also be signing off very shortly, but for the Ocarina of Time run, we will have Benjin taking over as host, so thank you all.
Yeah, also, yeah, please keep on donating towards Blue on Blue. It's a great charity, and just, keep on supporting the runners and the rest of the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us, ASM.